Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We are back with season 3 of Double Critical. We are doing a new theme this year, this season. And joining me is my buddy. You know him if you've seen other like season 1 of Double Critical and a lot of the battle reports here on the channel. It's my buddy Sean. Sean Abbott. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back.
It's
nice to be on the video again, talking to y'all.
It is good to be back. I know I've seen a couple of people requesting Double Critical show back up again, and I thought it was time to return. And this season is going to be a little different. So season 1 was kind of free form. We were just wanted to talk about all kinds of whatever came to mind. Season 2 kind of changed things up. I kind of did season 2 solo because I wanted to talk about all the different games. I wanted to talk a little bit about Legion, but a little bit about Armada, and a little bit about X-Wing, and that was fine and good. But I think with season 3, I wanted to return to its roots and return to Legion, especially with I think the enhanced focus AMG has on seemingly on pushing Legion a little bit more, since they're actually designing some stuff, and they actually gave us a lot of hints of the future. And so I
think as far as we know, the Boba Fett was like the Rebel Boba Fett is like their first major whenever it comes out.
Right.
Like they designed it and everything like that.
Yeah, I think it's the first one that they have like kind of been working on from the ground up, as opposed to like things that kind of were started by FFG and AMG is kind of helping across the finish line, as they like to say. And so I wanted to do kind of something with that kind of spirit. And so a lot of this. A lot of the content that we're going to be talking about on season 3 is going to be speculative. The whole idea is versus. You might see the new logo over there. It's a crit within a crit, so it's like a take on the double critical type of critical symbol. And the versus is where we're going to take 2 characters that are not in game yet. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about them, and we're going to kind of have character 1 versus character 2, and it's not who would beat whoever, but it's who's going to show up in this game first. And so each episode, the idea is that I'm gonna throw out 3 matchups, and we'll talk about those matchups, and maybe we'll have some extra guest stars joining us from time to time. Cool. Yeah, but
some fun ones. I remember first season we had some fun ones.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the idea, and that's kind of what we're working on here. And but I think we're gonna just kind of get into it. But I guess before we get started, though, is there any new what else has been like new with Legion before we kind of do the first matchup? I mean, we've got the Kashyyyk wave came out.
Kashyyyk wave came out. I mean, I guess it's finally still coming out for America, or finally finished coming out for America. We know we had a lot of delays.
Yeah.
In terms of shipping and everything.
Like Yoda and the Wookiees, I think just finally hit store shelves recently.
Oh, okay. Because I know I saw the infantry support platform. I always misnamed that one. I finally saw that in Sci-Fi City recently. Got that.
Sci-Fi City actually just got sold and is now like under new ownership and stuff. And so my local game store has we've had there's a lot of stuff I don't want to get into right here, but apparently there's gonna be some changes there, so that's gonna be interesting. So I'll have to go up and talk to the new manager and see what's going on over there. But that's like breaking news. I just found out about that today.
And it's gonna be interesting too, because we're in Orlando, you kind of spoiled for choice. I mean, at least we have a few other game stores. If one goes a little bad, you at least have another to kind of substitute and all that. Right.
It's I know that we have I've got some friends over at the Stabcast, and they run their local game store as another Sci-Fi City, I believe, in Knoxville, but this cell does not impact them. So if anybody watching this knows the Stabcast or is in Tennessee, I don't think the other Sci-Fi City is affected by this. It's, from what I understand, it's just the one in Orlando. So Central Florida people will know what I'm talking about. Those of you watching who aren't in Central Florida, which I would assume is the vast majority of you, are like, well, great, we don't care about your local game store. Get on with the content. So, so that's just kind of normal new stuff. So that is about it. The Discord has been growing a lot, by the way. That's another thing I want to talk about. We have a lot of folks that have been joining Discord lately. We're actually almost up to 3,000 members, so we'll be doing some more giveaways once we cross the 3K threshold. So let your friends know if you want to see more Discord giveaways. Share the link. The links are all in the video description below, so you guys can check those out. And it's just a good place, a very family-friendly, good place to ask questions, share photos. We have a painting competition going on right now called Paint the Town Red. And the whole idea is you can post pictures of your paint jobs from any game. Just red is the theme. So if you have anything as red, go for it.
Red that's back there.
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably not fair if I submit.
It's absolutely fair. I submit stuff. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to make myself be the winner. But it's a competition where like the winner becomes an artisan of fate, and it's a special role that they're given. But also, I'll pick like I'll pick. It's a Discord roll, yeah. No, it's not like a roll. I'm not going to mail you a pastry.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not mailing anybody a pastry or any kind of bread or yeast products. No, it's a roll. It's not a roll. It's not like a French bread roll. Gosh, the dad jokes are very strong with me today. No, it's just a roll. It's basically you get a custom color, so your name is going to look a little different than everybody else's. And so that's kind of cool. I think there's only like 3 or 4 winners right now, so there's very few people with that roll. So,
maybe.
Yeah, so maybe you get lucky, but yeah, so I will generally showcase also like a bunch of the top, like a lot of my picks in a video too. So even if you don't win, maybe you get showcased in a video when we kind of talk about it. So this is gonna run, I think, past Valentine's Day, because that's kind of the idea. So it can be pinks or reds, or even if it just has like some red in it, like my headset here would qualify me as a but I'm not gonna pick somebody who's just got like a red dot on them, So
yeah, that would be
yeah. Like I have Luke Skywalker, but he's got a single red dot on his comm equipment. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, thanks for submitting it, because I want everybody to see it too. But at the same time, you're not gonna win. All right, but let's get on with the actual the verses. So our first matchup today is going to be a little different than most of the other matchups that we're going to see, because the first matchup are like characters that I'm pretty sure are coming. They are characters that people who've been paying attention to stuff, they may have been spoiled already. However, I've been working on the lists and the showcases for this season for a while, and so I actually had this one kind of in the works before we had all of the spoilers. So I decided to keep this first pairing in here, whereas the other pairings are going to be a little different because they're more truly things that we don't know about, because AMG has spoiled things, like they've said that Ewoks will be coming and things like that, and so that's going to be. That's right. Yeah, they did. That's going to be. But I don't think that will be until next year, so that's still very far out. So I'm trying to generally avoid things that are already spoiled, but. Our first matchup is, and for you guys watching too, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section or in the Discord, whichever you prefer. Of course, we are still giving the lightsaber away, and you just have to leave a comment and be a subscriber to enter to win the lightsaber giveaway. So that so do both. Definitely leave comments, like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. So our first matchup is Ahsoka versus Din Djarin, the Mandalorian himself. So, again, they're not going to fight each other in this particular giveaway, or in this particular matchup, I should say. I say giveaway so many times. But it's kind of like, who do we think is going to show up first? And I know that AMG has already kind of talked about doing stuff from the show The Mandalorian. So it's not like a guess, like, hey, are they ever going to do Mando? Of course they're going to do Mando. And they've already said that they're going to do Ahsoka.
Yeah, and then we just got to consider what Ahsoka is. It Clone Wars? It's like, first season 1 Clone Wars, season 5 Clone Wars,
right?
Season 7 Clone Wars, or Rebels. Spoilers for those who haven't seen Rebels.
Yeah.
Or maybe Mando.
Or maybe live action Ahsoka, or maybe even like Rebels finale, like old lady Sage Ahsoka, or maybe a different version of Ahsoka that shows up in the Ahsoka series, which is also coming out, right? Like
just like. It's a blob, you take it out and it morphs whatever one you want.
There's a lot of Ahsokas that they could do. And so I think before we kind of do we can open up with some of our picks on who we think might happen first, or talk about the reasonings that go into them. Because this being the first episode, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be trial and error, and we'll kind of figure it out. So I think the Ahsoka discussion is an interesting one, because there's so many different versions, like you said, that, are we saying is I'm just saying I think Ahsoka's gonna come. I'm not necessarily, even though I have kind of like fulcrum Ahsoka. I think that's kind of how I refer to that one, like the adult.
Fulcrum, yeah.
Yeah, like a fulcrum Ahsoka. Like I think that's a really good candidate for this game for a number of reasons. The Rebels need more Jedi.
They need more heavy hitters.
Yeah, they need more melee lightsaber wielders. Like they have got the Wookiees now, so they have, I mean, they've had the Wookiees, but they've got Luke and Sabine, so you have some of that. But I think Ahsoka really, really has a place among the Rebels because of her time as Fulcrum in the show Rebels.
A Darth Maul kind of niche where the Rebels don't really have that.
Yeah, and I would not see her as being a commander for the Rebels. I would see her as an operative, 100%.
Yep.
I mean, there's certainly the possibility for her to become a commander at some point, depending on what happens in the show. But I see Fulcrum as an operative. I think that would be
a Republic Ahsoka, because technically all the Jedi are leaders in the Clone Wars.
Absolutely. I think actually, so since Ahsoka was a Padawan, I think if you do Clone Wars Ahsoka, you have room for both. I think there's easily like Snips might be operative, like young, like season 1, 2, and then like season 7. Might be a commander, a commander of the 332nd,
I could see like the Snips version being like having like one of those command cards like Sabine does, where it does give orders to other units, but like it's just the one command card, not like a always thing.
Yeah, absolutely. If she's an operative, she could be like taking her chance at command. It's like follow. Like maybe it's got a disclaimer. It's like you can give up to 2 clones. I don't think it would be clones specifically. You give up to 2 clone troopers in order, in addition to Ahsoka, but they have to be within like range 1 to 2 of you, so you don't have the full range 1, 3. So she's like, she's still kind of, but maybe she gets an offensive bonus with it as well because she is leading from the front and she's taking the offensive. Like come with me, Rex.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of those teamwork with Rex.
I would like
who's going to come out first.
Yeah.
I would put my money on Din Djarin because. I remember a long time ago, FFG. This is back when it was still FFG. They like end of one of their things. They had the Mandalorian and the coming for Legion.
Right.
So I mean, there's works logically in my brain. The Mandalorian would probably be the first one to come out because it seems like they've had that in the works even like before the some of the Clone Wars stuff. Right.
So the Mando. I mean, and also I think. I'm going to go with Ahsoka. My vote is for Ahsoka, and the reason I'm going to say that, and I definitely get your reasoning, but I feel like with all of the push that they had for Mandalorians over the last couple of months, since Mini Stravaganza came out, and you have this entire X-wing like halfway, if that's all Mandalorian stuff, and then they even previewed like Darth Maul with the Darksaber, for the scum and villainy, the Shadow Collective pack.
Thank you.
I think there has never been a better time to preview Din Djarin. Like they even previewed Boba Fett, like Rebel Boba Fett. So I feel like he is a little farther back in the design block, and that might be due to multiple reasons. Like for example, let's just say minor spoilers for The Mandalorian season 1. So I'm going way back here. So if you haven't seen any of it, honestly, it's fair game at this point. But like if you watched the first, like if you were FFG, and from what I understand, like when FFG, when The Mandalorian first came out, Legion was in FFG's hands. Maybe they started working on him, but he evolved so much during that first season, and then also into season 2. So like his weaponry was upgraded. His armor was upgraded over time, throughout the whole season. So, like, I can imagine them like, all right, we want him to look like this. We want him to, oh, wait, hold on. He's totally different now. Back to the drawing board. All right, let's do this. Let's get this working. Oh, he has a Beskar spear. Back to the drawing board. All of this stuff like that. And so every time something comes out in media with him, there's potential changes. Like that, like in the picture I have here, he's got the Mudhorn signet on his armor, right? Like you if you started working on it before he had that, you'd be like, oh, we have to change him. He has to have, So at what point, like they may have at some point said he's changing too rapidly. Let's just put a pin in it. We'll wait on him.
I see your point there, but part of me thinks if they're designing them out for it, Lucasfilm is going to give them all of the information available. Like, hey, guys, so they might have already pre-prepped them. Like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is how we want it to look. Right. Don't worry if you don't know why, but hey, this is the model we want. Here's the, so you kind of have like Lucasfilm and Disney.
They could have.
fearing but giving information ahead of time.
That's a good point, but I'm gonna lean on Lucasfilm would say, no, we're not ready to reveal certain spoilers because it's going to turn out that Din Djarin is a robot and he's been a droid the whole time and he hates droids and it's because he hates himself, and that's going to be the season 4 like cliffhanger, and we don't want to spoil that, right? Or whatever, right? So that's why I'm going with Ahsoka, because she's so much more well established, especially if they do a Clone Wars Ahsoka. You have you have her whole bookends are already kind of written for the Clone Wars timeline, so it's a lot safer to do Ahsoka first, because you know you don't have to worry about, wait, is she going to end up getting her hand cut off? Do we have to do a one-armed Ahsoka? No, you don't have to worry about that, right? So I also want to go back to Ahsoka and say that for a command card, if they do a Fulcrum Ahsoka, I would love for her to have a one pip called "I'm no Jedi," because she says that when she's fighting Vader.
Yeah,
you know, and that could be like her cut loose, like her, and maybe she gains like, you know, an extra action, like she gains a third act, like basically some real offensive stuff that normally the Jedi don't do, right?
Maybe at a
surge to crit, relentless.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Relentless, surge to crit, surge to crit, or
maybe an extra action this turn, or something, but some kind of way to like take the offensive, and like, cause she used that to kind of push the fight. She, you know, like, and you know, like when she's fighting Vader, and so like, and like that would just be a really great way for her to, especially to contrast against Luke, and like Luke's Jedi stuff, like his like he's got all this stuff, is like, you know, he throws down his lightsaber and he's like, you know what, I'm not attacking, but you can't attack either. So like Jedi Luke has, well, he has great offensive potential. A lot of his top command cards, not all of them,
like Son of Skywalker is.
Son of Skywalker is a little bit dark sided, but yeah, she should have something in the vein of Son of Skywalker, kind of like I'm no Jedi, where she can do things that the Jedi can't, and that could open up even a new avenue where maybe she gets something else that the Sith or the Jedi both don't have.
Maybe because she's dual blade user. Maybe as in like make it different from Son of Skywalker. When she doesn't attack, if you do more than one, like say, you can do more than one attack, but you combine the blades into one attack profile, so you have a larger dice pool. So like normally you have like Arsenal 1 or 2 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You say, no, they're just all together, and you can still do 2 attacks. It's like 2 big hits.
Yeah. So it would be like Arsenal 2, and if you don't use your arsenal, or no, maybe if you don't split targets, if you don't split fire, you can make 2 attacks. Yeah. And granted, she's probably not going to be engaged with multiple people at the same time anyway, because like if you look at how Grievous does his combat, it is very rare that Grievous is engaged with 2 different people at the same time. Although if he is, like, it's crazy. But yeah, I can see her kind of doing that, and because her shorter one is a defensive one, she could have Surge for Defense built in potentially. You know, like Yoda and Palpatine are like the only Force users that have a Surge for Defense built in. So that's she could potentially have that while she's equipped. So I don't know. There's a lot of cool things they could do.
You're kind of convinced me on Ahsoka, because I'm thinking too, like, even like Clone Wars Ahsoka, there's so many like good catchphrases. I actually see one like how Yoda has one with a Chewbacca. You can have one for actually add an extra command card to Rex, like experience beats whatever.
Yes, experience beats talent or something like that. Yeah,
something like that. So experience beats talent, and like it's something to do with the clones and Rex and Ahsoka, so that could be a really cool one.
That's that, and they were kind of doing stuff like that now. So I also think that if they do Ahsoka, and probably if they do Din,
so many more options.
You're gonna get. I think you'll get 2 models. I think you get Snips and Lady Ahsoka, like Padawan Tano, or Commander Tano, like Ahsoka Snips and then Ahsoka Padawan Tano or something like that, or Commander Tano, the season 5, 6, 7 kind of profile for her.
Yeah, kind of the vibe of Yoda. Maybe they even have the same. It's the same profile, but just it's different model, because Yoda has the one like force pushing.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're wanting to give you. You might even get a dual pack. Like it could be. I feel like they're going to want to give you more for what you're getting at it. They're starting to do this with X-Wing a little bit, where they're putting 2 small ships in a box. Because it wasn't cost effective for them to sell a single small ship. Although Yoda's still kind of in a small box, and he's kind of cheaper. But I could see them, to save shipping costs, to put like Operative and Commander Ahsoka in the same box with 2 different models. Maybe charge you a little more because you're getting 2 units.
Yeah.
But then you get like maybe 6 command cards. Or if it's all in one box, you could probably get away with less than 6 command cards. Maybe you just get the 3 and then a bonus one for if she's with Rex or something like that. There's a lot you could do there.
Yeah, Legion's price profile, because their commanders are generally cheaper. Because I think GW sells single characters for $35 all the time, and they don't do extra stuff at all.
Right. Well, I think
Legion's a lot cheaper.
I think in the way things are evolving, the economy is evolving, the production and the shipping and all that stuff. It makes a lot more sense to get a lot of bang for your buck in one box, and I think they're going to want to do that. And likewise, I think if you do Mando, he has a very good chance of coming with Grogu.
See, okay.
But Grogu as an objective,
I don't like the idea of Grogu like it's maybe as an objective marker or something,
or as a flaw.
Yeah,
as a flaw card, like his, and maybe the flaw card is Grogu. Maybe he comes with 2 types of Grogus, like he's got the cage closed, like the little bubble, like the cradle, and then the flaw card is like open the cradle, and now he's exposed, and now all of a sudden people can target that, and if it takes a certain number of wounds, like he panics. Or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's. I was thinking. Another thing I'm thinking, like in terms of if you do a flaw, maybe something like disabled repulsor, and like it immobilizes Din Djarin because he has to stay with Grogu's like little capsule thing.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that.
But I think Grogu is as a miniature. Wouldn't really. It would be like one of those miniatures you don't really need to use, kind of like the battlefield assets packs and stuff. You don't have to use the moisture evaporators. You can use a token, but it's more thematic to use the miniature. And I think Grogu in at least Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 represents an objective more than a character. Even though he does some things, and you know what you could even do? You could even give a command card that says Grogu saves the day, and that if he's still on the board, then something happens.
The picture of him lifting up the Mudhorn kind of thing,
right? Or he gets a heal.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Or maybe once per game, Grogu gets a heal, and it's part of a command card, and it gives Mando like surge for crit or something like that because he's revitalized, And that's a way to kind of put him in the game, but not making him a warrior because he's still a baby, kind of,
Yeah.
Until like Mando season 3, maybe,
That's what's that? That's next year, right? Or this year? Next year?
Who knows? Who knows?
I have no idea.
I don't want to.
I have not seen the new Boba Fett episode, so we'll keep spoiling these for the new season.
Yes, we will. All right. All right. So I think that's going to wrap it up for the Ahsoka versus Mando talk. But so in summary, you had gone with Mando Din Djarin. I'm going with Ahsoka, but I wonder what the audience thinks.
I'm like 75% on your side because like they have a lot more model options. They have a lot more command card options they can do, and it's a lot more they can sell. That sounds pretty good.
But merch,
and like they might be waiting for more information for Mando just to get it. My one other point is that because the Mando is so hot right now in the media, they might want to just push that out just to get those little buys in.
It's definitely a big one. Then again, we don't know exactly. I don't know when the Ahsoka show is coming out exactly. I think it's supposed to be like the end of 2022. And so that could be a good time to get her out.
You're the one who told me they announced a bunch of new video games too.
They did. At least they said they're working on them. We don't have titles or whatever, but like one's going to be kind of like an XCOM game. One's going to be, So we'll have to wait and see. See. All right. So, guys watching at home, let us know in the comments: Ahsoka or Din Djarin. Who do you think will show up first? And why? I'd love to hear great explanations too. What I'll probably do.
Something we didn't.
You might even see some of if you have some great theories or great justifications, you might even see those in the next episode of Double Crit Season 3. All right, moving on to matchup number 2. It's going to be a twofer or a fourfer. It's going to be Baze Malbus and Chirrut Imwe versus Hera Syndulla and Chopper. So we've seen with R2-D2 having the counterpart keyword for C-3PO. We've already seen that counterpart keyword, and I thought to myself when I first read the rules description of counterpart, this feels like it was big because you get to add your weapon to the master unit's attack, and so Baze and Chirrut firing together, Chopper teaming up with it's a great way to have just a single unit but get more heroes on the battlefield. So
Chopper is one of the ones he's
unpredictable.
he's unpredictable. So if you guys can't really see, but I have a Chopper in my little glass case of next to all the time. So me and my wife love Chopper. He's the little murderous droid that could.
He is, and I think he
no qualms about anything.
I think he would be functioning very different as a companion to Hera, or a counterpart. Because I believe in this case, I could see them both being counterparts. I don't. And again, they could come with Chopper could come with multiple versions of a Chopper card. He could be a counterpart to Hera. He might be able to be an astromech that's a personnel upgrade that just goes in a unit by himself. Also,
or detachment, kind of like K2SO is. K2SO is a detachment, right?
He is a detachment. I don't think. I mean, I guess you certainly could. You certainly could do Chopper as a detachment, but I still think he would come in the pack that Hera comes with.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if he were a counterpart, he might give Hera the repair option. And maybe if Hera is by herself, she's not focused on repair. She's focused on leading. And if he's with her, she gets to work with him, because maybe if he has a regular card by himself, he only has repair 1 or something like that. But if he's with Hera, maybe he has repair 2, because now she's like, no, Chop, you're supposed to do the intake manifold, and stuff like that. So they could work better together. But Hera obviously would be a commander.
Yes, this is a kind of neat matchup, because Hera's dead, definitely commander.
Definitely commander all day, especially if you've read Alphabet Squadron and yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, yeah, she was even though she wasn't a big part of that, she was actually probably my favorite part of the Alphabet Squadron, just because they portrayed her character very well.
They did, and she was for a long time my favorite character in Star Wars Rebels, because she was the space mom. She held the whole team together.
Yeah.
And she meant business, and she flew every freaking thing. Yep. So she was great.
Yeah, the idea of how much she's been in this war for 20 years, kind of idea.
Mm-hmm. And then on the other side we got Baze and Chirrut, who are
combat characters.
Now I think of Baze and Chirrut definitely as being not detachments of one another. I think of them absolutely 100% have to be counterparts. They were inseparable.
Yes.
And specifically because you needed Baze was the bodyguard of Chirrut. So I think the unit would be Chirrut Imwe, and the counterpart would be Baze Malbus. And I think you possibly could run a Chirrut by himself. But my guess is it'd be something because because he did kind of walk out by himself at the end of Rogue One. My guess is they make him speed 1, slow speed. But if Baze is with him, he's speed 2.
Oh, okay.
So because he can be no, this way, go straight. So he's got the guide. He's
Yeah.
That's so you're more incentivized to definitely bring Baze. Plus you can combine their firepower, and Baze has the awesome gun. So it's of course I want to take the heavy weapon.
So this is so we have to focus. I gotta think in terms of coming out first. Both of these feel unique. So these are rebels. These are rebel units.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these fill unique roles. Baze and Chirrut would definitely be a combat type of detached or type of unit.
Yes.
Where Hera would be a commander and an operative type unit.
Right.
Now,
this makes the verses a little more interesting. And let me pause you for a second. You guys watching at home, remember when I said the first matchup was going to be a little different than most of the matchups we're going to have? That's what I mean by that. The first matchup was kind of stuff we kind of already knew about. This is stuff that we don't have confirmed, right? And so there's definitely a lot more speculation. And because they fill such different roles, that can certainly influence why one might come out before the other. Okay, go ahead.
So because of that, because they fill different roles, I would actually have to go with Hera as coming out first, because right now the only commander unit that the rebels have is Leia.
Yes, everybody else is a combat commander.
Everyone, yeah. Even though Jin's a bit of a support, but she has more combat proficiency. Mm-hmm. Cassian is straight up combat. Han is straight up combat. Luke is combat.
Now, Jin is definitely a support commander, but the character is more of a combat character. So as far as thematics, even though in this picture Hera's holding a blaster, she is not known for her prowess in ground battles. Now she is known for her prowess in a vehicle, but for Legion she would probably come out with a Star Wars Rebels wave. I think there'd be at least one other character from Star Wars Rebels coming out alongside her, in a wave like that.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, and I'm
Kanan. I mean, her and Kanan, because we that they had a kid, so it'd be a good little combo pack.
I am with you on. So as far as votes on what's going to come first, I also agree Hera is going to come first, but not because of her being a commander.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like the Rebels desperately need another Jedi. The same reason that I had Ahsoka coming first, right? And so if they're going to do things in batches like they sometimes do, at least under FFGS, how they did them in groups, things that went together, this would work great for a Kanan Ezra dual unit pack, also to come out in the same wave. And because we've got Yoda that's out right now. We've got Force Burst of Speed that's out with Yoda, and that's the only place to get it. All the other factions have to get access to that at some point. And so, granted, Yoda comes with 2 copies, so you can kind of loan it out, and you can print it out and just proxy it for casual games and all that stuff. Yeah. But for the long-term plan, FFG always said that they don't want to have chase cards. I have to assume that AMG will. You're right, and I have to kind of assume that AMG won't kind of stray too drastically from that opinion. I don't think it makes good business sense to have Yoda being the only place to get this one awesome card. It's like a crucial card for the Empire. So I also think the Empire is going to get Inquisitors and stuff like that too. And so I think there's going to be more and more pressure to get Jedi out for the Rebels. And if it's not Ahsoka, because if Ahsoka comes out as Clone Wars version, then I think it's got to be Kanan and Ezra. We got the dogs going crazy.
Yeah.
And so you could put Baze or Chirrut with a Pathfinder unit. They might even put the disclaimer that you can only use Chirrut in a Pathfinder unit if Baze is also in your army, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So they could do something like that, but they don't have to. You could have Baze by himself. I mean, the game doesn't have to copy thematics 100%.
Yeah. So with Baze and Chirrut, because I'm trying to think of what other, because you talk about Kanan and Ezra Bond, going with as a Hera release.
Yeah.
I don't see Bodhi really coming. As much as I like Bodhi as a character, I don't see him as a Legion character too much. That would be very specific support role, maybe as a add-on to a unit. So who else do you add for Rogue One? And that's tough.
So I
have Cassian and K2.
I had done a video a while back as I rewatched Rogue One a little bit in the ground scene. There were a couple of Melshi was one who was one of the other Pathfinder commanders.
Bearded guys, right?
It was a I think a Hispanic looking guy. I have to look it up. I actually did a whole video on breaking down screens and turning on captions to get all the names because there were a couple other dudes. But I think Melshi is very, very close to the generic leader for Pathfinders. Okay. It was kind of supposed to be the same guy, but it's got one minor difference to make it not exactly Melshi, but it's clearly kind of Melshi. So there is other Pathfinder names you could do, but these guys are definitely the best option. Definitely the best option to go into that or to be their own unit.
There's such a iconic unit of Rogue One that it's. I'm actually still surprised that, as much as I think Hera's going to come out first, but Chirrut and Baze were big players in Rogue One that I'm surprised they haven't come out yet because they're cool models. You can have cool. Technically Chirrut's got kind of Force-like abilities. He's the guardian of the
guardian of the Wills. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could have that's one of his pit cards is guardian of the Wills, or is you can have you can have very different command cards where if Chirrut dies, now Baze is a Baze command card could activate, or if Baze dies, maybe there's a Chirrut card you can use. It depends on one of them dying, or maybe it's a
you could have some kind of interesting death mechanic. So it might not even be a counterpart thing because of the fact that a counterpart has to take the damage but has to die before the leader can, and so so they may want to do
die first. Sad.
Yeah, and so no, Chirrut died first.
No,
Chirrut died first. Yeah, because he was doing that one, and then Baze is the idea was the little sub arc is Baze kind of gave up on the Force, and then when Chirrut died, he's he took it back in right before he died. So
I man have to admit, whenever they start saying I'm one with the Force with me is tears start to well up.
It was a great movie and a great moment. I don't think you give Chirrut a Force upgrade though.
No,
although I think you
I
could.
could see.
I was gonna say maybe you do a new force upgrade, and it's like something that kind of goes to him. Like maybe he gets a free aim because like when he did the light bow and he shot the TIE fighter or something like that,
Yeah.
and it's called "I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me." That could be the upgrade. And while Chirrut does not have a force upgrade, it could be a force upgrade that says Chirrut Imwe may ignore the force thing to equip this. In the same way that B1 droids can take electro binoculars even though they don't have the slot.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, or a command card could also do something like that. But I like the idea of him being able to equip a little bit of a force upgrade. But this way you don't have to worry about him doing force push and other stuff. Especially if you wanted to make a special upgrade for him that other Jedi might want also. Especially if it's something like, hey, you can a free upgrade. Kind of like how you get the free dodge on the one. What if you got a free aim for a force upgrade?
What about a danger sense on a because going with the Rogue One wave, having that's one of their keywords. He has.
I could see them both having danger sense. But yeah, and if they're an operative, that allows you to get like the whole Rogue One build because you can now take Cassian, keep him as a commander, K2 as a detachment, Jin as a commander, these two as the operative. That gives you 2 and 2.
Cool.
That lets it all work. That does let it all work. Yeah. So.
In terms of, I know, like I said, I voted for Hera, but in terms of like AMG likes their other proprietary, whatever it is Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is all about heroes. Having a mainly hero force would probably be a neat thing for them in Legion.
It would be, and that might factor a little bit into the next episode of Double Critical, which I don't want to spoil too much. So,
hey,
teasers.
We do these freeform. I'm just.
That's fine. Absolutely. That's a little. That was meant to be a teaser for everybody else to tune in next time. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on to the third and final bout of the evening or the morning, depending on which time you guys are watching.
You watch this.
Yes. And that is going to be a cross-generational, cross movie, cross animation type of team up here. And this is Riff Thampson, Mr. Sharkman himself, versus Saw Gerrera.
Now you say cross animation. Saw Gerrera was in the Clone Wars,
right? But I have the photo of him from Rogue One, so it's like they were both animated. Saw Gerrera did actually start in the Clone Wars too. That's very, very much true.
I think Saw Gerrera was the first animated character to come to live action, wasn't he?
I actually no. So technically, Anakin Skywalker was animated in the Clone Wars, and he came to live action as Darth Vader in 1977.
You were such a smartass.
Yeah,
oh
no, I believe he was the first. Like,
I walked into that one.
I believe you're right. Saw Gerrera was the first character that they pulled straight from animation that had never been and made him into live action. So he was the first person to kind of cross that uncrossable divide.
Transmedia narrative.
He did, yes, and he paved the way for other stuff too.
So now we have Ahsoka. We have it's
so much. With all the Disney Plus shows, it's just so much more options for them to just be pulling everybody out. So Riff Thampson was in the Clone Wars. He was in the Mon Calamari arc when you had the Quarren versus the Mon Cala. It was a mostly underwater stuff. And Kit Fisto was in that one, and Ahsoka was, and they're all swimming, and then the Gungans kind of eventually came in towards the end, and so Riff Thampson was the big separatist dude who he bit the head off of some people, and
I was saying he bit someone's head off, which is pretty hardcore.
He is awesome, and I think the separatists could really use. I could see him being a commander, because he was. I think he fits the role of a commander, and I could definitely see him being. I think the separatists are going to be at a loss for heavy melee commanders. They certainly have some. You certainly have Dooku and Grievous. Yeah. Asajj doesn't. She's an operative. I don't see Asajj being a commander. And so if you wanted to get another melee commander who's not using lightsabers, you have Kraken kind of. But this is a great option for that. Who could be very ruthless.
Cool, the command card. I've been a while since I've seen it. So him biting the guy's head off brought to memory. That's such a cool command card. Just like him grabbing something.
Yeah, maybe it's a big attack that has Pierce 3. He gains a Pierce 3 attack for this round.
Or a force choke, just eliminate a model, from a unit kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Something like that, and then you combine that with, some extra movement or whatever. Now. And I think that's one thing that both of these characters do have in common is that they are both known for being kind of ruthless.
Yeah, I mean, was it Mon Mothma had a whole fight with freaking Saw Gerrera?
Oh, and so you and I just played. So all right, so you guys watching at home. Sean and I play Star Wars Rebellion a lot, and so in our last game on I think it was the very first turn of the game, Sean captures Mon Mothma, takes her prisoner. She's locked up, and then the Emperor, he pulled the Emperor's card that allows him to convert somebody to the dark side. So Mon Mothma not only left my side, joined Sean's side, became an Imperial character, a servant of the dark side on turn 1, which, if you guys have ever played Rebellion, that's just devastating. And so we were kind of like thinking like Saw Gerrera would be like, see, I knew she had that fire in her. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I hated that guy so much. You know what? We're going to the Empire.
Yes. So Saw Gerrera fights with Mon Mothma in Star Wars Rebels. And but I think Saw Gerrera could be the type of character who I always liked ever since they came out with Boba Fett and the bounty hunters and the bounty keyword, like, hey, you can gain a victory point if you do this thing. And I was like, well, what if Saw Gerrera had something that was the opposite? I think we talked about this in season 1 a little bit. Like, what if Saw Gerrera had like a command card that was like a really powerful attack, but if you did it, maybe it was like you throw a bomb, it does like five black dice, right?
Yeah.
But you could double the attack, but if you do that, you give your opponent a victory point because you lose public support, right? Because he's ruthlessness, you know.
It's cool because very situational depending on what objective you're doing, but it could swing a fight where you just terrorist attack. I mean, that's what I remember going to say. He was a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly. He was relentless. He was ruthless, and that was a big thing with Saw Gerrera, is that he pushed it too far. He would win at all costs, at any cost, and you could.
It's a cool evolution of his character, from watching his sister die in the Clone Wars and seeing how the Empire rose up and all that stuff.
Yes.
It's cool to see how a character that was very good became like this,
corrupted, you know. Yeah. And he would also he could also easily have interactions with Jyn, you know.
Oh yeah, because I haven't read the books, but like he was a big mentor.
He was like a stepfather type character to her, and you saw in Rogue One, he kind of rescued her, and then she came back, and she's like, I haven't seen him in a long time, and they kind of explained what you needed to know in Rogue One, and I think that could factor into a flaw card, and maybe if he's with Jyn, then you don't. Like, then it counteracts the flaw card. Maybe Jyn can save him from the flaw of him being, or something like that. So like there's definitely ways to make it work. But I would love the idea of him having like this card is like my ace in the hole. It's my last ditch effort. That'd be a good name for it. Yeah. Last ditch effort. Oh, and I'd love for him to have a Borgullet card. Borgullet. Or lies, deceptions would be a great name for a card for him. Yeah, oh my god. That would be amazing. So like, there's so many cool things that you could do for Saw, and that's just from the Rogue One Saw. That's where we got like the best Saw Gerrera was from Rogue One, right?
It's so in terms of who I think would come out first.
Okay, yeah. Who do you think is going to come out first?
Saw Gerrera, because as much as Shark Guy is freaking cool, he's not as well known or in the movie. So we talked about this in Armada before, like how they had a problem coming out with some Armada ships because they're not as well visibly visibly recognizable, so you don't want to sell them because people are like, oh, what's that?
Right.
Where Saw Gerrera is visibly recognizable. He's been in a major movie. It's Forrest Whitaker. Is that
Forrest Whitaker? Yeah.
It's Forrest Whitaker. I mean, you mean they got the memes of like Forrest Whitaker eye, like he's well recognizable.
It'd be a cool model, but I'm going with Riff Thampson. I'm disagreeing. I'm departing with you on this one. I'm gonna go with Riff Thampson first. For a different kind of reason. I do think he is still at least moderately well known. I agree with you. He's probably not as well known as Saw Gerrera. Okay. However, he's a freaking shark, right? Like that alone is awesome, like incredibly awesome. And the thing is, it will stand out. The Separatists have this problem where everything is going to be a droid, and so. And I know they want to do a droid invasion battle force that's going to be coming up. And so I think to keep everything from being part of the droid invasion, they have to have more organic people show up in the Separatists to sort of balance the factions. He's the perfect addition to show up eventually. Also, he's a freaking shark. Or was that my first bullet point? And thirdly, he's a freaking shark.
Only if AMG teams up with Discovery and releases him during Shark Week, will I vote with you?
That's a great idea. The thing is, if he's swimming, they may have a hard time giving him a tactical rock.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So if you guys who don't follow Marvel Crisis Protocol, every single miniature that comes out in Marvel Crisis Protocol, they're standing on a rock or something like nobody has 2 feet on the ground. If they're doing him swimming, then he doesn't have to have 2 feet on the ground.
You got to give him a little credit though, because I know people complain about tactical rocks, but people complain about flight stands just as much, and that's the other alternative. So.
Oh yeah, no, I do not. I definitely prefer like some kind of, if you want somebody flying, I prefer like a leaping type of pose. Yeah. But at the same time, when there are some characters that are just like, oh, I'm just standing here, but oh, there's a rock under my foot also. I'm like, not everybody needs to be on a rock. You can have some characters standing with both feet on the ground. Because here's the thing. Legion has deluxe bases that are like Death Star interior and stuff like that. There's no rocks on a Star Destroyer. There's no rocks on the Death Star. There's no rocks on a space station. You know, like not everybody's basing their stuff. There is, but not everybody's basing their stuff to be, you know, where there's rocks. You know, some people might want to, you know, to have like an ocean kind of, I guess you can do rocks in a river.
If you look at Instagram, there are some cool Scarif, like shore troopers in the ocean line, and they got the waves.
You can get away with a lot of rocks there. What if you're doing a beach theme? There shouldn't be rocks on the beach. You know, I mean, there can be on some, but the problem is a lot of people.
There's plenty of rocks on the beach.
a lot of people want to do their own basing, and so having tactical rocks that you have to work around kind of influence that and stuff. So
that's very true.
Yeah, but I guess that's kind of unrelated to this discussion. So again, so you're going with Saw, and I'm going.
Another thing too. Again, this is with the Hera argument. Saw Gerrera is not a fighter unit. He is a commander unit, and they need another commander unit.
It depends on if they do with old Saw or young Saw, because young Saw is absolutely a fighter.
Yes, but he would be Republic then, because he was a Republic auxiliary.
Well,
I think he'd be more of an operative then.
He could be a multi-faction pack, because he was definitely a freedom. Yeah. He would be an operative for the Republic, but he'd be a commander for the Rebels. Because he was in Star Wars Rebels also, and he was trying to get the info on the Death Star. He was, and he was the bald-headed, like the fairly still kind of young Saw.
Yeah, he wasn't all like hooked up.
He was in the U-wing.
He had armor, but not like the oxygen.
Yeah, he wasn't wounded yet and stuff like that. So yeah, like there's a lot of options for Saw too, and he could definitely be a dual faction pack, whereas Riff Thampson just separatist. But man, unless of course we see Riff Thampson well, I don't know if he died in the end of the Clone Wars, so I have to go watch again. But if he survived, like, wouldn't it be cool to see Riff Thampson show up in like Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian season 3, like in a bar, and he's like, I once bit the head off a Mon Calamari like you. You know, it'd be kind of cool. That'd be a really cool, a deep cut right there. All right. It would be. All right. So you're going with Saw. I'm going with Riff. I'll back up a little bit. I think we're both going with Hera here. Yep. And then here we're kind of a semi-split, but
so like you convinced me enough with Ahsoka, but like I think Din Djarin or Din Djarin. Okay, I pronounce it Din Djarin. Is it Din Djarin?
Yes, and yes. Because
there's a D in front of the Djarin part.
You're supposed to do the Dj at the same time, so you're supposed to say it so fast that nobody knows which one you said. Okay, that's how it's supposed to go.
I'm gonna go again. The Mando has the media presence to carry that.
Right now, he does. We'll see what happens closer to the end of the year. All right. Okay. All right, guys. That wraps it up. I want to hear from you all watching at home. Let us know who do you think wins each of these verses and who is coming out first for Star Wars Legion. Who will we see first? And I'd love to hear some reasonings why as well. Maybe you'll see your quote in the next video. Sean, I want to
cool command cards you think maybe we missed out on. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's see some awesome comments from you guys. Don't forget to check the links in the description below. Also, big thanks to Sean for hanging out with us today.
Hey, I'm happy to be back, guys.
Absolutely. So let's
hopefully at me though. That's the only problem.
Hopefully you guys will be back with us for the next episode of Double Crit Season 3. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to the patrons for helping make this channel possible. I will talk to you guys later. And always remember, don't ever put your underwear on outside your pants unless you're planning on flying into a building.